happy with you in multiple locations today. And we're going to take a minute to introduce ourselves a little bit, share a little bit more about us, our process, our program, kind of how our company got started, even how Attilio and I sort of met each other, and some of those things, because we know many of you are, joining us for the first time, getting introduced to Therapy Flow as a company, and we know you have questions on some of the things that I just described. So if we haven't met yet, my name is Joshua Brummel. I'm one of the founders of Therapy Flow, and this is my partner.
Attilio.
Yeah, and we came together. We met each other a little over. Well, it's been almost 4 years now that you and I met each other. But individually, we've been in the mental health space for a little over 5 years now. And at one point, we met each other, decided that two is better than one, kind of merged our individual ongoings in the space, and eventually it turned into what you see today for Therapy Flow specifically.
Yeah, we kind of have unique backgrounds, but when we met in a really kind of similar situation. We were both part of a really big mastermind. It was kind of an expensive mastermind at the time, probably like a $60,000 program for both of us. So it was kind of an expensive program. It was for entrepreneurs and people working with businesses, and so yeah, we were kind of individually working, came together. Both of our backgrounds are a little bit sort of like marketing and sales. I've personally been in business since about 2014, just kind of doing a few things here and there, marketing, sales, always. Worked with a lot of industries, had the pleasure of working with really, really big companies, like billion-dollar companies, billion-dollar executives. And I worked like a lot of times with like the e-commerce teams that were responsible for doing like 60% of billion-dollar company revenue. So lots of Inc. 5000s too. I worked with three Inc. 5000s before we hopped in here. So I've seen sort of the big guys. We've seen the small guys because I worked with a lot of small businesses for a little while. We've seen the good companies, the bad companies, and then now we've had the pleasure of working with a lot of mental health clinics, lots and lots of mental health clinics. And so we've seen the good, bad, and ugly for therapists, what therapists are bringing to the table, what are the good clinics doing, what are the bad clinics doing, and we kind of decided to combine it all for you guys in sort of a nice to digest way. One thing that I think kind of is really nice about us is hopefully we try to tell you guys what you need to hear rather than what you want to hear. So I think as part of what we're doing here, we really just want to remove ourselves from isolation as mental health professionals, bring ourselves in with the rest of the world, in with the rest of the stuff that's working really, really well across everyone, across everyone else, and see how we can't make it work for y'all as well.
Yeah. There are a lot of components to building a great business and a lot of components needed to build a great therapy practice specifically. In the last 5 years, we've helped literally thousands of therapists in various capacities, but in really direct ways. We've been directly involved with hundreds of practices now that as solos have come under the side of like big, large, nice, well-functioning solo practices. And the same with, seven-figure, multi-seven-figure group practices that have done really well and directly attribute a lot of what we have done to their success and the outcomes that they've had. And without getting into the details of some of our specific programs and offerings, that's not quite what today is about, but we're really passionate about good business, about you being able to build your business and run it how it's meant to be run. Unfortunately, we see a lot of therapy practices struggle with questions, struggle with business fundamentals, struggle with their marketing, struggle with recruiting, just a lot of different things that in our experience in the marketplace, in the corporate space before we entered the space, we got to solve those problems on macro levels and on micro levels. And we love to teach, We love to build things, we love to tinker, and we really love the human element of the business. I think I can speak for both Attilio and I that sitting behind a largely levered mechanism that has very little basement in reality in terms of it's a random product, it's a random process, it's another car dealership. That didn't feel great to us, right? But when we launched our own companies and started to provide business building services and we got the exposure to mental health practices, it became really real and it became really tangible and it became really important. The work that we do with our counselors, it became really important because you guys, the work that you do is really, really important. So anything that we can do to help you run your business and run your process in a way that allows you and enables you, empowers you to have the life, have the business, have the income needed to make the impact that you want, we care really deeply about that. And that's to the core of what we have built our team around. It's not just me and Attilio. We've got a number of team members, program coordinators, accountability partners, marketing strategists, right, that come alongside of our practices when they need help getting to 6 or 7 figures, that we support you and we build around you because it takes a team to get the outcome that you want, and you aren't meant to do it alone, especially when you're trying to solve the problem of I don't know what I don't know, and I don't know how to even do specific things like run ads or build great operations or recruit the way you need to or just generate the revenue that allows you to like continue to run the business.
Yeah, I think what's really important here, guys, is um, if you're running a good business, if you're running a good business, you can achieve what you want, right? A good business, the output of a good business is the cash that you want, the clients that you want, the time that you want, and you get to pick the sacrifices, right? You also get to pick the costs that are necessary to get that, to make that happen. And what's really nice is piggybacking off of what Josh was saying, we get to work with people that are making a really big difference. We get to work with a space, a group of people that, one, are historically probably underutilized and undervalued. So it feels really, really good to kind of raise the tide, even if it's just for the top 1% of you who join us in our programs. Raise the tide on even just 1% so that it raises the tide for everyone. So it really feels good about that. It doesn't feel like we're just in another place. But also, what's really, really crazy is when we were first introduced into this space, I think we just kind of realized really quickly that there was a lot of mystery around what is success. Maybe only the top 10% of practices really could find success or can find success like quickly, I would say, or with at least some level of efficacy. And the other thing is too, I think there's a lot of complexity that's held behind the mystery of running a good business. And you guys are lucky that you have an awesome skill that literally one person can run a great business for themselves. That could be a one-person show or a 1 to 2 person show. You guys have an awesome service and you have great skills that you've developed, but there's a big disconnect. And so I think what's really, really interesting is it doesn't take too much to demystify and to remove the complexities from your system to really make you guys find some good success. The 80% of practices that just kind of remove complexities and are crystal clear. There's not like that mystery anymore behind what makes a good practice. So it felt like we could make a really, really big difference on a grander scale than trying to work with like weird businesses that are doing whatever to try and make their next buck. So it really does feel pretty good to be working with y'all. And every week I find myself more and more inspired to put together more information for you guys and put together more content and put together more things to help you out and just push the envelope and challenge you guys to do new things. And and so, just thank you for doing what you're doing, and thank you for continuing to be an inspiration to push us harder, to push the to push the envelope for y'all in the marketplace, in the space here. So it's just kind of been a great ride, and it makes it feel really nice that really we just have to like remove some complexities, stop overcomplicating things, get you guys doing the right things for yourselves. And typically what's kind of crazy too is we find ourselves saying the same stuff that you guys are asking for your clients too. And so a lot of things kind of feel like they're all in line. Everyone's kind of working and clicking together. So it just kind of overall feels like a nice little space for us all to kind of be together.
Yeah, so if you're tuning in, if you're watching, you're like, man, what are these therapy flow guys about? We're really passionate about helping your business run like a good business. Typically what that means for our solo practices is they're making multi six figures. For our group practices, they're making seven figures and beyond, because that's usually a good reflection of a well run practice. There's a lot of nuance in this space. We have worked with practices from almost every single state in the United States here. There's a couple outliers. So if you live in Alaska, please contact us. We would love to work with Alaska practice. Check it off the box. We've got most everyone else. That, and I think like Maine. So
we've had one Maine, Rhode Island. I don't think we've had a Rhode Island though.
Rhode Island. Okay.
Yeah.
There we go. But all to say, guys, is we've had a lot of experience now working with a lot of practices, helping them remove the roadblocks and helping them transform the emotional side of things. Typically that's overwhelm around marketing, that's overwhelm about just the business building and the details. How do we, as Attilio said, demystify that and simplify that? There are things we can do, and I've been there. When I launched my first business, I was working a full-time job. I was trying to say, how can I replace my income and do this business building thing in a sustainable way? Get off of the roller coaster, right? And then, on a group practice level, you're like, man, how do I get there? How do I launch that? How do I prepare my practice to even get to that next level where I could possibly make a first hire? So to kind of speak into a couple core elements, we're really passionate about cracking the code on consistent marketing, on an amazing value-driven sales process that operationally makes sense for your practice, and lowering the barrier to entry needed for you to run your business, meaning you're able to wrap your head around what will it take for me to be successful in my area with my client type at the rate that I want, right? About 70% of the practices we work with, maybe more now, are cash pay only. So we have we work a lot in that space as well. And I can't tell you how wonderful it is to sit on the other side of the screen. Every once in a while I get to meet one of you guys in person, but to sit on the other side of the screen and help our practice owners week in and week out solve their biggest business problems that allow dreams in their life to come true, that allow balance to return back into the life, that allow them to book their first 10 clients, to get their first full caseload, to successfully come back from maternity leave, to figure out their paid ads that never worked before, to fill in the blank that will make your practice run like a great business. And we care a lot about that. And I think we're really good at that in this space now that we've been doing it for over 5 years.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything else to add. Guys, like wherever you're coming from, wherever you're trying to go, just know that someone has probably done it. So one, we feel you in a lot of cases. A lot of the time we find ourselves saying, I remember being exactly in your spot. So we've certainly been there. There's other clinicians that are there or have been there or have to pass through where you're at on their way to finding exactly the goal that they're looking for. The unifier here, guys, is building a good business gets you to the end result that you're looking for. And the path that you take really there's one path that you take. Josh and I met in that mastermind. We both paid entirely too much to be there. Combined probably like $100,000 total for the group. However, the string that we pulled from it was one common thread. We were both coming from two different places. We both had one common thread, and we're hoping to teach you guys what we learned, but we're also hoping to make it very plain as day that there really is just one path up the hill, right? You just go up the path. However, the path, it's a static path. You do the things in order, you get to the place that you need to be. Obviously, you can stop off wherever you want. If you want to go have a picnic somewhere, you can have a picnic somewhere. But to get up that hill, it's really just one thread, and hopefully we can help you guys stick along that path because we know that there's a lot of great things at the end of the road. Not saying it's not hard work. It certainly is, it's rough on the glutes to go uphill, but we know that you guys can do it. So thanks for hopping in on the ride with us, and I guess we'll see y'all in the next one.
Yeah. I just want to say, if you guys want to get to know us and our company a little bit more, join or be more present in the Facebook group, ask questions, participate in the future lives that we do. And ultimately, you can just book a call with our team as well. Someone on our team will sit down with you and talk strategy with your business. The calls that we perform with our therapists when they are interested in getting additional help for their practice is figuring out where you're at and where you need to go, and helping define that really, really specifically to a single point of a next step. And sometimes that next step can look like we take it with you or alongside of you inside of a process, a program, or a service. And sometimes it's your next step that you need to do separate from us entirely. And that can be a really valuable thing, whether we ever professionally work together or not. So don't be a stranger. Get the help that you need and build that business that we know you can build.